Hi guys, coming from the actual Mrs. Godsey's kitchen this time, since we're on this quarantine now for the second week. And today you're gonna learn how to make some cheesecake. Some of you wanted to learn how to make that in class and we didn't quite get to that. But this cheesecake recipe that I'm sharing with you, it's called the very best cheesecake. And I'm not gonna claim it because it's not my recipe. It comes from this cookbook, which I've had for a long time, and it's really good cheesecake recipe. Usually when I make it, people want to get that recipe from me. So they have enjoyed it. For this, we're gonna use a springform pan, which is a pan that looks like this. And it has a spring right here that you open up, and the bottom of it falls out like this. So we're gonna use this to make our template out of parchment paper in just a little bit. That's gonna cover the bottom. I have preheated the oven on 375, and I will put the recipe on the on this site here as well, so you can use that. I'm gonna refer back to the cookbook every once in a while. I will need things like a mixer, so I have a mixer here that I'll pull out in a minute. You need a Ziploc bag, you'll need some graham crackers, rolling pin, butter knife, rubber spatula, liquid measuring cup. I've already have in one liquid measuring cup some sour cream that I measured out for 1 cup. I have some strawberry jam for the design. I've got butter or butter substitute. I've got my measuring cups, measuring spoons, 2 eggs. I have 2 things of cream cheese that I set out earlier, because if you set it out, it's more pliable and easier to work with. And then I have vanilla that I have made myself, so it's just in a bottle like this with the vanilla beans in it. And let's see what else. In our mixer, we're going to use the paddle attachment. So remember that you have the whisk, the hook, obviously, and then the paddle attachment, which is already in the mixer here, and it looks like this. So that's the one that you're going to use. I'm going to go ahead and stick that back in there. Okay, so we're going to start by prepping my dishwasher's done. Prepping our springform pan. So what you're gonna do is you can do it in 2 different ways. So you could go ahead and take this, it's a 9-inch springform pan, and this is just tarnished. It's been used a lot of times. You could go ahead and set this on the parchment paper and draw the outline, or what I like to do. Okay guys, so I'm coming back to you now a little bit later because there were some technical difficulties the first time, hence the change in attire. So I was able to go back to school and get my chef coat from there. In the meanwhile, I haven't been back out now for, must be over a week again. But what I was telling you previous time is on the springform pan, you take the bottom out, and you can either draw the design off of this onto the parchment paper so you can get it the right size, or what I like to do is to actually take the paper and fold it like this, and then you fold it again. And again. And I usually do it one more time. Set it, the point of it, onto the middle of the pan like this. And then I just take it and cut it according to the outside of the circle here. And so when you take it out and open it up, then it should be the right size for the bottom of the pan. So that's what I'm going to use. And what you do now is you take this and put it back on the inside of the springform pan, and you latch the spring back on, and you put this on the bottom of the pan so it just sits in here like this. I'm going to set that aside for a little bit. and we're gonna go ahead and prep our graham crackers. So the total amount that we need is I'm thinking it was 1.5 cups. Yes, so usually 18 graham crackers. The best way to get them into crumbs is you take a Ziploc bag and you take your graham crackers, which I already have here opened, and you set them inside of the Ziploc bag. And I usually do one layer because it's a little bit easier to work with that way. So I just set them on the inside of the bag like this. And I don't even need to close the bag really. Let me put that away from here so you guys can see. And then you just take a rolling pin, and this is not what you're gonna do. You're not gonna smack the crackers, but you're gonna gently roll them. So you just gently roll them like this, and it really just needs just a little bit of pressure, and in no time you're gonna have just crumbs on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure this. So I should have 1.5 cups. I'm assuming this will probably be not quite a cup. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my next batch ready here. And on the instructions it says 18 graham crackers rolled to crumbs, about 1.5 cups. So we'll see if we need more than this. I just think this will be about the right amount. So again, I'm doing one layer. I have a few more on here this time, and just gently rolling them into crumbs. This is quite nice activity, rolling things with the rolling pin. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this to 1 cup. Okay, so here's my 1 cup, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in the bowl. And that should be, I'm assuming, about 1/2 cup. There you go, 1/2 cup. So that's 1.5 cups. Now I'm also going to need some butter for that, and it calls for 5 tablespoons. So I have my butter ready here, and I'm just gonna get a butter knife, and I'm going to put 5 tablespoons. So here's 1, 2, 3, and this is really soft because I had left it out earlier just for this purpose. 4, it's a little bit easier to work with that way. And 5. And then you just nuke it for a few minutes, not really even, probably a minute. So I'm gonna set it in the microwave and just leave it on for about 30 seconds. It probably is not gonna even need all of that time. And then you're going to go ahead and mix that with the graham cracker crumbs, and press it onto the bottom of the springform pan, and that's going to be the bottom of the cheesecake. And you usually let it come up about 1/2 inch on the sides as well. So I'm kind of paying attention. That only took probably about 20 seconds. So here are my crumbs inside of this bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and pour. Okay, I think it's recording now. So I had a phone call coming in. That's what happened the first time initially. So this cheesecake making is kind of challenging. So pouring the butter in here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix these 2 ingredients that are in here and kind of coat the crumbs with the butter. And it's not going to be soaked. They're just going to start adhering together. So once it looks like it's the right consistency, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my springform pan and I'm going to pour this all in the bottom of the pan. And this is where it gets a little sensory. So then you get to use your fingers, and of course you've washed your hands prior to starting this, and you're going to press just with your fingertips and evenly coat the bottom of this with the crumbs. And what you're going to also do is you're going to press them up on the sides of the pan about 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch, whichever you like. You are the designer, you're the one who's making this, so you can kind of decide how far you want it to go up on the sides, but usually it goes up just a little bit, and it gives a nice kind of a rustic appearance for the cheesecake. And then once we get this part done, you're going to start prepping your filling for this. And this is a 2-part kind of filling of cheesecake. So you do the actual filling, and then there's going to be a topping as well. So I'm happy with the way this is now. So that's what it kind of looks like. And it's going up on the sides a little bit as well. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to just rinse my hands since I have the grease on there. I'll be right back. So in the meanwhile, I have my mixer here, and on the mixer we have the paddle attachment on here, and I'm going to go ahead and put that on. And in your mixer, you're going to now beat together 2 packages of the cream cheese. So I had taken those out already. So here's one, and I'm just going to go ahead and open it up. And these are the 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. And you're going to pour it into the bowl, if I can get these open. And what helps too in these is if you go ahead and take the cream cheese and just chop them into a little bit smaller blocks, so then they incorporate a little bit easier. So I usually do about sizes like this, so you can get 8 pieces from one cheesecake or cream cheese block. So there's those. Sorry, that's my garbage can, so it has a little lever that you push down on, and then it opens up so I don't have to actually touch it, which is great. Here is my other one. I'm going to go ahead and cut it in the middle, and then just get the blocks like that inside, like this. Okay, and then it calls for 2 eggs, 1/2 cup of sugar. So my eggs, I'm going to go ahead and break these into a little cup. So there's one, so I don't get the shells in there. And here's my second one. Remember, when you're opening up eggs, if you do it on the blunt surface, you can go ahead and not get the eggshells in there. I'm going to go ahead and have this start mixing already. So I'm going to start it on a slow first, so it doesn't go all over the place. And now I'm going to go ahead and measure my sugar, which was a 1/2 cup. And my sugar is actually here. So I'm going to bring this here, and this gadget is kind of neat. This goes on the top of the bowl, and then you can pour ingredients in there if you'd like, but I'm not using that right now. I'm just going to go ahead and measure my sugar, so I could go ahead and put that in. So my 1/2 cup measurement, so when you have your cups, there's 1 cup, here we have a 1/2 cup, then we have the 1/3 cup and a 1/4 cup as well. So this is my 1/2 cup measure, and I'm going to go ahead and measure half a cup of sugar, and I hope I have enough sugar in here. I'm running a little low in this container, so almost there. And then you're just going to go ahead and level it if it's any dry ingredients. So here's my half a cup, and I'm going to go ahead and stop this the other way and add my ingredients in. So there's that, and then it also calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And so with that one, you don't have to be as accurate because, you know, vanilla is quite great. So you can add a little bit extra if you'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the machine again. And I don't know if you can see me here pouring this, but I'm going to do it above the bowl. So if any extra goes in there, it just goes into the batter. So I'm pouring this in. And now I'm going to beat this until it's a creamy consistency and you don't have any big lumps in there, which is going pretty well because it is soft and room temperature. I'm going to see if I can bring you guys a little bit closer here so you can take a look. But that's what it's looking like right now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set you back in here. And then once this is incorporated, then this gets poured on top of the graham cracker crust that we had made. And then we put it in the oven for, let me double check on that. It was on 375 and we're going to bake it for 20 minutes. Then you take it out of the oven, you let it cool for 15 minutes, and then you're going to rebake it on again on a higher temperature. So I'm going to let this mix on a little bit higher setting right now for just a minute. So the sour cream is going to be for your topping, and the cream cheese goes into the filling. I'll set these aside, and I think it's going to be ready. Just a minute. So now I'm taking my scraper, the spatula that I'm using. I don't want to use the same one as I used for the graham cracker crust because I don't want that into the going into the filling. So I'm going to stop this. I'm going to bring my crust here, and anytime you're using anything here, Aki and Na just walked in, so they're watching me do this demonstration. But anyways, I'm going to take this out like this. Here is my spring form, and what I usually do with this is the attachment that's on here. I scrape any excess out of this so I can go ahead and put that in the cheesecake as well. So that looks pretty good. And then you just pour this on here. And if you want to do any sort of a design, the best time to do that is when you're doing your topping. You put that in your topping. So in this part, we're not going to put any design. So in the topping, you could use different jams. You could do raspberry, strawberry, apricot, peach, whatever your liking is. You could do chocolate, Nutella, just some ideas. So be creative with that. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm just taking this and I am just gently making it go all around the bowl. And I'll show you what it looks like before I put it in so you guys can see it. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my knife that I used earlier. So this is what it looks like right now. I'm hoping I can show you like this. Okay, so that's going to go in the oven for 20 minutes. And then after that, I'll be back. Yes, and we're back again. So at this time, the cheesecake is out. So it was on 375 for 20 minutes. I have cooled it down for 15 minutes. I did increase the temperature in the oven for 475, so it's pretty high. And then we're gonna bake it. Once we do the topping, we're gonna bake it for 10 more minutes. So the topping is 1 cup of sour cream, which I already have it here measured. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the bowl. And at this point, I really don't need to do this in the electrical mixer. I can just mix these by hand. So 1 cup of sour cream goes in. 1 cup of sour cream went in. And then we're gonna measure 1/4 cup of sugar. So I'm just gonna pull out my sugar, and that actually is pretty level, but you can still level it with anything that is straight. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my measuring scoop here. 1/4 cup of sugar, and then 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure that, and I always just do it on top of whatever I'm making because a little bit of extra vanilla is not going to be detrimental. It just tastes great. So now I'm going to just go ahead and mix this just kind of quickly, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So that's what it's supposed to look like. Now, okay, so we're back. I pulled this out of the oven, the cheesecake, and this is what it looks like right now. So it's pretty much set. It was in there for 20 minutes, and then I let it cool down for 15 minutes on top of the stove. Actually, I took it off the stove because I figured it was still too warm. So it's just a little jiggle it's setting. So that part is pretty much baked. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to go ahead and put the topping that we made in here. And I put it in the fridge in the meanwhile because I didn't want it just to sit out. So this we're gonna pour on top of the existing cheesecake, and I'm kind of spreading it out a little bit at this point because this is cooler than the bottom layer. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of design on it, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do. So this cheesecake is going to be for Aki's birthday. So don't tell him. He probably knows because he saw that I was getting ready to make cheesecake, and the only time that I really make cheesecake is special occasions. So I'm going to spread this out a little bit. Can't really show you any other way but like this. So right now it's kind of in the middle. I'm going to spread it out so it's going to be kind of all around, but not too much over the sides. And then I'm going to do a little design on it. So I'm going to use strawberry jam that I just have in a can, because Aki's favorite is strawberries. So we're going to use that. And then I think I'll put some fresh strawberries on top too. Okay, so I think that part is good. So the strawberries, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little visual for you. So this is the cake, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the jam now onto the part of the topping, and I'm going to kind of drop it in an outer circle, a little bit here, and I probably can fit a third one. Not a true circle, but you get the idea. So this is kind of the pan, and then 3 circles of the strawberry. And then I'm going to take this skewer, actually, because that's what I have. And I'm going to draw a line with going into the topping a little bit. So I'm not going to insert the skewer all the way through the cheesecake, but just a little bit through the topping. And I'm going to draw a line first this way. Then I'm going to do the opposite here, going through the middle. And every other one is going to be the opposite. So, sorry, not very. . 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So every other one is going to be the opposite. So it creates this kind of a spider webby design on there. You could do this with chocolate or different types of jams. We've made apricot, peach, raspberry, I think strawberry, blueberry ones at school. And everyone seemed to enjoy those. So my jam is here. And I'm going to just loosen it up a little bit. Like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop a line of it, and that's going to be a little bit hard to do, but I will try. Doesn't have to be exact. I'll show you what it looks like once I get this done. So the temperature, remember in the oven we changed it to 475 now. A little bit too much on there. And as I'm going through, I'm spreading it just a little bit. And if it's not perfect, you know, don't worry about it. What's important is that you made it. And you can just say that it looks rustic. I like them looking like that anyways. I almost have this first layer done here. So this is really kind of different for me, not having, at this point we would have conversations at school with the students, or you guys would ask me questions, or but that part is missing. So this has been a kind of a, I'm sure that, you know, it's not easy for anyone, this whole bit, but what helps is if you keep yourself busy. So find some things that you like to do, and you can be productive with. So I have been knitting a little bit. I started I started a coronavirus cardigan. That's what I'm calling it. I just got some stitches on the needle arbitrarily, what I thought might be good, and I started knitting a cardigan, so we'll see when that's finished. But I knit on that at nighttime, and now I'm enjoying making these movies for you guys. Hopefully you'll like them. But if I can get this bit off, I can get that out, and then I can show you what it looks like right now. So right now, that's kind of what it looks like. Okay, so now I'm going to take the skewer and go one way and then the opposite. And I'm going to bring you guys closer so you can maybe see it. So every other one, see, it's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. So I've got a little bit clumpy there. And one more going through this way. So I just did it through the top layer on there. So now I'm going to put this in for 15 minutes. It's going to bake. And then I'm going to pull it out and let it cool just on the room temperature first. And then I'm going to cover it with aluminum foil. So I already have my aluminum foil cut. And by the way, in the meanwhile, while you guys were on pause, I cleaned up the kitchen, so it's pretty clean right now. I don't have to do any cleanup afterwards. And so this goes on top of it after it's been cooled in the room temperature, and then you put it in the refrigerator or cooler. So I'll put it in the cooler for a while, and then it's ready to eat. And you just get like thin slivers. And it seems like my oven might be in the need of cleaning because I see a lot of smoke. So I'm going to put this in the oven and take care of that problem. And then I will show you what this looks like when you get it out once you baked it. So see you in a bit. Okay, we're ready to get this out of the oven. So here it goes. It looks like it's set. Smells good. I can't tilt it too much, but it looks pretty. And I'm going to now let it cool down to room temperature and then cover it. So in the comments, if you have any questions, or you can email me at the school email, or put the questions in the Google Classroom as well, and I can answer you that way. So happy baking. Bye.